This is what we're making, a very simple ring, inner ring. Something to play with. We're making a very simple spinner ring today. The material is 0.7 thick, 8 millimeters wide, and to whatever length you need. Our inner ring is 1.5 millimeters thick, 3 millimeters wide. Actually, it's our outer ring. Get your ring size. It doesn't matter what it says on the outside. What's critical is what it says on the inside. So get the inside diameter in millimeters, add the thickness, 0.7, multiply by 3.14. That'll give you the exact length to cut this. So I've done my math. Mine is 57.8 long, so I'm going to cut it 58. If you saw this, you won't have a beveled edge. If you cut it with snips, it'll have an edge that you have to file back flat. Up to you. So get your length, make sure the ends are nice and flat, and anneal it. When you're doing a wide ring shank, if you put it in your calipers, it'll actually show you whether the ends are square and whether it's the right length or not. I've showed you how to do rings before in the videos, but just quickly, flat half round pliers. And what you want is a perfect join. You want it lined up this way, as perfect as you can get it, and that will save you cleanup when you're done. Hard solder, and for this one I think we'll put the solder on the outside. If there were a pattern on here, we'd put the solder on the inside. So I'm holding this joint up in my third hand, and 3 pieces of hard solder across the join. Place it with your flux brush. It doesn't matter if it's not perfectly lined up. Nice neutral flame. Warm it up. When the flux dries out, you can push your solder back where it's supposed to be. I'm just circling the join. All 3 of those bits are together. It doesn't really matter. It'll flow and go along the join. The flux is clear, the solder has flowed. Take your flame away. Quench it, pickle it. Dry the metal. Round it up on your ring mandrel with a rawhide hammer. Use your sanding stick to sand off your excess solder, and it shouldn't take much effort and working on the top of a curve. Put it on your bench sideways. On a piece of sandpaper, and do the edges. Hallmark it now while it's still flat. If you've done your join correctly, it should be completely invisible at this point. Polish this one now before we go any further. Now we have a nice polished flat ring, and we want the outside diameter take an average, because it won't be perfectly round. So mine is 19.1. Now, it's the same technique, 19.1 plus the height of this, which is 1.5, times 3.14. Then we're going to add an extra millimeter after all of our multiplication is done, because a millimeter is one size, in Australia anyway. So cut this to the exact length, file the ends nice and flat, and solder it up. My measurement 65.8. If you just hang the end of your calipers on the wire and drag the other end across, it'll leave you a nice shiny little mark to cut. Cut to the outside, file back to the mark. Line up the edges as perfectly as you can, no gaps, 2 bits of hard solder. Round it up on the ring mandrel. Sand your join back using your sanding stick until it's completely invisible. Polish it. Now at this point we have 2 rings that are polished, one fits over the other. So we're going to take our little bench anvil, a large dapping punch, and you can see how much larger than the ring it is. So I'm just going to put that on the block and stretch it like that. Put the ring on, which won't come off now, and I'm going to stretch the other side. Now, we don't want a huge bend because it'll be uncomfortable where it touches. So you can see we now have a ring on a ring. And your friends will wonder how the hell you did that. Done.